Right. It rambles on, Kevin. The Partygate story, and every day there's a new twist. So, I think I'd like to get your take on what you think should happen now, because you put your opinion on Twitter, I think, last week, and I've never seen so many responses on your feed ever. So A, tell us what you do think, and B, do you stand by it?
Well, it rambles on, John, because you and the opposition, media and the opposition, keep rambling on about it. I mean, the vast majority of people I speak to knew some time ago that Boris Johnson, in his workplace, on his birthday, was presented with a birthday cake, which wasn't even eaten. I don't think that is something that is a serious enough offence, despite the fact the police believe it's a breach of the guidelines, to warrant the resignation of a prime minister.
Nonetheless, it's arguable that it's one of the main lines is he didn't know that he was breaching any regulations, but I think a lot of people think that those guidelines, well, they weren't guidelines, they were more than guidelines, because people were being fined here, there, and everywhere, were quite clear about gatherings, and the fact that you could not do that outside of your bubble. I mean, that you can't argue with that, can you?
No, I don't agree with that at all. The workplace guidelines were very different. I mean, I sit in an office here in Parliament. There's two offices adjacent to me, one where the team work and one where another member of Parliament works. Had they come into my office and presented me with a birthday cake on my birthday, which they didn't do actually, would I have thought that was a breach of the guidelines? I really wouldn't. And I read those guidance in detail and explained to lots of people. So the Met Police have got a tough job to do. They decided it was a breach of the guidelines. So be it. And the Prime Minister has paid the fine and apologised profusely, humbly, many times. I think we should move on.
Okay, lots of people have said we should move on, and I think you've said that before as well. But the fact is, the law is the law in terms of what the police have done and said. So that's a fact that has happened. So now we've got the first ever sitting Prime Minister who has breached the law. Whether or not you think the police have got that right, we put our powers in them. Does that sit well, do you think, with democracy? Or
all that is right, of course, but it's the first ever. But this has been a time of precedence, hasn't it? I mean, we've never had a COVID crisis before. We've never had to restrict people's liberty before. We've never had to tell people keep 2 meters apart before. We've never had to close all our pubs and restaurants before, and shops. And so it was bound to be in this guidance some grey areas. I think that's what we've hit upon. Now, the Met Police, as I say, they've got a tough job to do. I respect what the judgment they've made. I respect the fact that they've judged that the Prime Minister broke the law. It was a fixed penalty notice. It was a £50 notice. He has apologised. He's paid it. Now, do I think that now he should resign as Prime Minister of this country when we've still got a bit of a COVID crisis? We've got an economic crisis in terms of the cost of living. We've got a Ukraine crisis in terms of the Russian invasion of the Ukraine. Do I think it's right that he should resign over that? No, I don't.